The New York Islanders outlast the Detroit Red Wings and get an important first for the year in the process. We've got all that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. The Islanders with a big win over the Detroit Red Wings. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever's on your mind. You could also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game, so join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. It wasn't always pretty, but there was a lot to like about the Islanders' 5-3 win over the Detroit Red Wings. And, you know, I'll start it off with two things. Number one, at this point in the season, as we're into the home stretch and the Islanders are trying to make up ground and get back into a playoff position, I am not caring very much anymore about style points. Win ugly if you have to, but win in regulation as often as you can, unless you're playing a West Coast, Western Conference team, in which case it doesn't matter, and just win. Get the 2 points. Well, the Islanders did that, and yeah, there was still plenty of things about Thursday's game that weren't artistic or that have to be cleaned up for this team to win more consistently. But let's think about this. If I would have told Islander fans on Sunday that the New York Islanders were going to play the Dallas Stars in Dallas and then the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit, Dallas, first place in the Central Division, Detroit, by the time we get to the game now, riding a 6-game winning streak, 10 points ahead of the Islanders in the race for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. If I would have told you they go on the road against those two teams and win both games, I don't know too many fans who wouldn't have said, I'll take that in a minute, regardless of the style points. And, it really was a good, solid first period for the Islanders. And, you score 2 goals in a little more than 4 minutes. Brock Nelson getting the first one unassisted. He picked the pocket of a Detroit player in the Detroit zone, scores, and then Casey Cizikas, a deflection where his stick is just under the crossbar. 2-0 Islanders. Islanders limit the scoring chances of Detroit. Good defensive first period, and you're like, hey, we're cooking with gas. This is exactly the kind of period this team needed to play. And then in the second period, Detroit scores. It's 2-1. You're going into the third period. You've got the lead. 10 seconds in. Game tied. Patrick Kane. But what did the Islanders do? They come back. And then Detroit comes back. And then the Islanders come back again, put it away, and end up winning 5-3. And, we mentioned that this team is not perfect, but they showed a lot of resilience. And it would have been easy for the New York Islanders to say, oh boy, here we go again. We were up by 2 goals. We go into the third period, give up the tying goal 10 seconds into the third period. Oh no, we're up 3-2. Uh-oh, 3-3. We give up the goal again, and the fans are into it, and the Red Wings are into it. But the Islanders kept on persisting and end up with this win that they so badly needed. And let's get to some good news. They had a power play goal in this game, and the motion with the puck on that particular power play. Goal was by Brock, who had 2 in the game. That was pretty. That was really great puck movement, and it made a difference. And as for you had that, and then the penalty kill. We talked everydayers yesterday about how good the power play is for Detroit, and we know the Islanders have the worst ranked power penalty kill in the National Hockey League coming into this game. The fact that they did not allow a power play goal, and yeah, okay, there were only 2 power plays, so they did a good job overall of staying out of the box, but they killed them both off. And that was absolutely critical to this win. So special teams stepped up. The top line steps up. 2 goals for Brock Nelson, a goal and an assist for Matthew Barzal. Bo Horvat doesn't figure on the score sheet, but 4 shots on goal, and you look at what he accomplished in the faceoff circle. He takes 21 draws. He wins 16 of them. That top line clicking like gas, and a little light. How about this? The Cizikas, Holmstrom, and Engvall line, which is the third line. I'm going to give you a reason why this third line could click. Cizikas, Holmstrom, and Engvall all have above average speed. This is 3 guys who can probably, once they get some chemistry and some time together, can figure out how to forecheck really well and how to create a little bit of offense if they can figure out how to use their speed to create time and space and create scoring chances. It's not that far-fetched, and the Islanders will need it. And in this game, they got it with Engvall getting the last goal, Cizikas getting a big goal as well. And, all 3 of those guys figured in the scoring. So great to see that. And overall, they toughed it out. And I like the way they toughed it out. They figured out a way to win. Yeah, there were some problems, some familiar problems, and we're going to get to that coming up in a couple of minutes. But this team stayed cool. They stayed calm. They bounced back, and they got a huge, huge road win. And I'll say this, if they would have lost this game to Detroit, their playoff chances would have gone just about down the drain, because they just could not afford to lose this game, especially if they would have lost it in regulation time. So good job by the New York Islanders. They get the win. They keep the hunt for the playoffs going. And, tough next couple of games, Boston and St. Louis. Again, 2 teams battling, but the Islanders, when they're playing their game, they can beat anybody, but it's not easy. They've got to play their game and play it well, and it's going to go down to the wire. I just get the feeling they're going to be in this hunt, maybe until the last week of the season, where it's going to go one way or the other. And obviously, with the trade deadline now 1 week away, well, we're going to talk a little bit more about what Lou Lamoriello may do. But, stay with us all week because we're going to be discussing that. We have got a lot more to get to on today's show. We will have our hero and go to the game. We'll talk about the big first that the Islanders got in this game and some of the things they kind of still need to clean up a little bit after this one. We'll talk about all of that. Plus, for our Islanders birthday of the day, one of the first Finnish stars on the Islanders who had a 36-goal season in the mid to late 90s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We have got all that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and a lot more. And hey, Islander fans, check out the odds for Saturday's game against Boston. Check out the props, the over-unders, all of it there on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV on the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So the Islanders got a big first in this game, and hard to believe that it took this long to get to this first. But that last goal, the fifth goal of the game by Pierre Engvall, was, listen for it, an empty net goal for the New York Islanders. Their first of the season. And yeah, kind of figures it happened on February 29th with just, 6 weeks roughly left in the season. And Engvall decisively puts the puck in the net. And you saw the reaction of the Islanders bench. It was kind of nervous laughter, but you got the feeling the monkey is going to be off their back. And every day or Gail, you know exactly what I mean. You pointed it out, and you pointed it out quite well. But it really did mean something. Hard to believe this team can go, almost 60 games without registering an empty net goal. But they did accomplish that. And thankfully, we can stop talking about, oh my, the Islanders don't have an empty net goal. As far as the problems that this team had, you had some long extended stretches where they just struggled to clear the zone. And the Red Wings set up and had a minute and a half, 2 minutes, where they were just taking shot after shot, or just almost looked like they were playing keep away at some point from the Islanders. But again, some good goaltending by Ilya Sorokin. Yeah, he was a little deep in his net on one of those. He was screened on another of the three, but Sorokin helped bail them out when they struggled. And again, you held Detroit to 26 shots on goal. This is a team with Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Larkin and Patrick Kane. You do that, you're accomplishing something. It's a good thing. And, you got to like that. But still, the turnovers, on one goal, I believe it was Adam Pelech went for the puck. He turned it over. And J.G. Pajot late to pick up his man, little mini 2-on-1, pucks in the back of the net. Those things have to get cleaned up. They're never going to be, let's face it, these are, the other team gets paid too, as the old cliche goes. And the Islanders, last time I checked, all the players, human, they're going to make mistakes. The question is just reducing the number of mistakes. And hopefully they will continue to do that. So I don't want to sit there and call out every little time that one of these players doesn't pick up the man or is late or turns the puck over. Those things will happen. But cleaning them up, reducing the frequency, and reacting to them better will go a long way to helping this team win more hockey games. So hopefully we will see, more things like that where, yeah, okay, instead of having 7 or 8 bad turnovers, they're going to have 1 or 2 or maybe 3. And instead of, half of them resulting in 2-on-1s or an easy goal, maybe one every other game will result in that. So again, you're never going to get perfection, but you do need to get a little bit more consistency. And that is the one thing this team has yet to have all season. And hopefully something that we will see. Now, that has to still be cleaned up, no question about it. And again, just giving you that 60-minute effort, I think, those early third period breakdowns after they gave up that goal 10 seconds in, the next 5-6 minutes really were Detroit's game. And first period was great. Second period, okay. Third period, first half of it, not so great. And then it got better at the end. But overall, some definite steps forward for this team. And hopefully they continue to do that. I'm not going to get that thrilled over one game, one way or the other, but I'll take the 2 points and hopefully, 2 big wins in a row. And hopefully they can build on it as we move forward. Hero and go to the game. I'm going with the hero of Brock Nelson. Brock, 2 goals in this game to pace the team. And, to me, he earned it. Adam Pelech was a +3, so honorable mention to him and to Matthew Barzal and Casey Cizikas with a goal and a helper as well. So 2-point nights for both of them. As far as go to the game, I'm going to go with J.G. Pageau for his failure to make a pickup that led directly to a goal after the Pelech turnover. He was a -1. He didn't have any shots. He lost 4, only won 4 of 11 faceoffs. So, not that anybody was awful in this game, but if I'm giving out a GOAT, it's going to go right now to J.G. Pageau. And, again, not a terrible performance. As far as hits, Cal Clutterbuck led the way with 4 in just 10 minutes and 5 seconds of ice time. And as far as block shots, Ryan Pollock, 5 block shots by far. That paced the New York Islanders, and it was indeed important for the win. And again, solid goaltending, although not perfect, for Ilya Sorokin. Got to pick up guys in the defensive zone. Both goals by Ali Mata. Defensive breakdowns by the Islanders, and that has to be corrected. A little note, we mentioned that the NHL trade deadline now 1 week away. It's March 8th. And look, Lou Lamoriello tends to like to make a move before the actual deadline day if he's going to make a big one. I'm almost surprised he hasn't made one already. Would it shock me if he makes some kind of a move over the weekend? No. You got a game Saturday night. Maybe, just maybe, we see a move before that game takes place or after that game. It's going to be interesting to see, but let's keep our eyes peeled. And if there is a big trade, I will certainly go with a live video and maybe even a live mini show or show, depending on how big a deal it is. So keep your eyes open. And again, follow me on X for all the latest details. We have got more to get to on today's show. Islanders hosting the Boston Bruins Saturday at 7:30. And don't forget, you could hear every moment of this game with the Islanders hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. We have a full preview of that game, plus our Islanders birthday of the day. That and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Well, Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their best price guarantee, so Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. My favorite feature on the Game Time app, you could see the view from your seat before you buy the tickets, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And Game Time has deals not only right up to the start of the event, but even an hour after it starts. It is the place to find last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So Saturday, Islanders hosting. They back home at UBS Arena, hosting the Boston Bruins. Bruins, by the way, just ended a 3-game losing streak. All 3 losses were during a West Coast trip, and they were all by 1 goal. They just beat the Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday night by a score of 5-4. That game back in Boston. And that Morgan Geekie with a hat trick in that one. The Bruins, as we all know, in a dogfight for first place with the Florida Panthers. Bruins ahead as of now, but the Panthers have a couple of games in hand. Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark have been going back and forth more or less as the starting goaltenders this year. Now, in Thursday's game against Vegas, it was Swayman, so I expect Ullmark to get the start. Obviously, we have a lot of familiar names on this team, but one name to look out for, David Pastrnak, 38 goals, 85 points. Brad Marchand also having a great season with 53 points. And Charlie Coyle already with 21 goals and 49 points. Coyle quietly getting a lot done. Here is a team in Boston that is top 10 in both goals scored and goals against, 9th in goals scored, 6th in goals against, top 10 in both PK and power play 9th, penalty kill 10th. So that tells you that this team is certainly capable. As for Linus Ullmark, he is 16-6-6 on the year, a 2.72 goals against, and a 9.12 save percentage, 1 shutout so far. He is not playing dominant hockey like he did a year ago, but still looking like a darn good goaltender. And look, some injuries affecting the Bruins right now. Milan Lucic out. Matthew Poitras out on IR. Hampus Lindholm out of the lineup. We'll keep an eye and see if any of them may return for Saturday. The line combinations, Charlie Coyle now stepping it up on the top line, centering Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. Pavel Zacha centers the second line. James Van Riemsdyk to his left. Jake DeBrusk to his right. Morgan Geekie, who had a hat trick against the Golden Knights, centers the third line with Danton Heinen and Trent Frederick flanking him. And then Jesper Boqvist centers Jakob Lauko and Justin Brazeau on the fourth line. Matt Grzelcyk and Charlie McAvoy, a very talented top pair of defensemen with Mason Lohrei and Brandon Carlo on the second pair. Former Islander Parker Wotherspoon and Kevin Shattenkirk are the third pair. And as I mentioned, the goalies, Swayman and Ullmark, and I do expect Ullmark to get the start against the New York Islanders. Be interesting to see whether or not the Islanders go with another start for Ilya Sorokin, or whether they turn to Semyon Varlamov on Saturday to give a little break to Sorokin. We'll see. Not an easy opponent, the Boston Bruins. Got to stay out of the box. And again, got to cut down on the scoring chances because Boston is just so dangerous at putting the puck in the net. Again, it's a 7:30 start, and you could hear every moment of the game on SiriusXM with the Islanders hometown broadcast. Just go to the SXM app and do a search for Islanders. All right, time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. We go back to the mid to late 80s. Basically, Wednesday was the 59th birthday of former Islanders winger Mikko Makela. Fourth round pick of the Islanders in 1983. Joined the team after playing in Finland for the 85-86 season. Had his first 20-goal year the next season, and then had a career best 36 goals and 76 points in 73 games for the Islanders in 87-88. His offensive production tailed off after that, and in 89-90 he was dealt to the LA Kings. Spent part of 1 year in LA, part of the next season in Buffalo, and then headed back to Europe, where he played in Finland, Sweden, Germany, made the rounds, had a brief stint with the Boston Bruins in 94-95, and that ended his NHL career. But Mikko Makela, 423 NHL games, 118 goals, 265 assists, and 139 penalty minutes, add 3 goals and 11 points in 18 playoff games, with all of the goals and points coming as a member of the New York Islanders. So good to see that. His best game as an Islander, pretty easy to tell. We go back to the old Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. Islanders visiting the Washington Capitals. Billy Smith and Clint Malarchuk are the goalies for their respective teams. And in this game, Mikko Makela scores a power play goal midway through the first period to make it 2-1 Islanders. Pat LaFontaine and Dennis Potvin, a couple of Hall of Famers, assist on that one. And then in the third period, Makela scores at even strength. Brian Trottier and Greg Gilbert the assist. And later on in the period, Makela on the power play. Alan Kerr and Tomas Janssen with the helpers this time. A hat trick for Mikko Makela in 5 shots on goal. Billy Smith makes 31 saves. The Islanders beat the Capitals in Landover, Maryland by a score of 6-4. And Makela did end up with the game-winning goal in this one. Mikko Makela, a good goal scorer for the Islanders in the mid to late 80s. He is our Islanders birthday of the day. I want to thank everybody who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day, everydayers. We'll be back on Monday unless there is some big trade news over the weekend, but we will be back on Monday to have our key takeaways from the game Saturday against the Bruins. Plus, we'll have the latest trade rumors, injury updates, and all things Islanders. So make sure you join us for that. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.